Great games in your table. This is Jonathan Albin, and this is Game Master Soapbox for NycosRPG. This week, we're going to ask a very important and quite common question. What makes for a good game session? I know that there are people that come to their games events with different levels of excitement or anticipation. But one of the biggest questions always asked is, what makes for a good session? What defines a good time? And so I've written up a little bit of a list. We're going to go over it in a bit. And then, as usual, if there are any questions that are asked from the peanut gallery, so to speak, if there's anything you'd like to chime in and ask me about or question, feel free. So the first thing, shall we go ahead and get started? I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, let's get started. So the first question we have to ask is, did everyone have fun? There are times when a game session will focus on a particular player's storyline or a certain arc. Wow, I didn't realize my hat was that bent. Yikes. I have to work on reforming that bad boy. Yeah, that's weird. But if they're not having fun, people aren't going to come back. If the engagement is only one of obligation, the players that do come back may find reasons to not be there. So make sure that everyone's having a good time in every session that you can, because that makes the difference between just holding an event and having a good one. So that makes for a good session, having fun, of course. Now, that leads to the question, how many decisions were being made? If it was a situation where we were sitting around reminiscing and talking about old events and just considering, the past experience, we're really not playing in this session, and so therefore the session's not a good session unless we actually get some decisions made, some things actually happened, some distance was covered if it's a traveling campaign, some rooms were explored if it was an investigations campaign, and so on. That means that there was a lot going on if there were decisions by the players being made on a regular basis. The next one is also to ask if there were any skills checks made and how many. Were there enough? Was it a situation where the players were absolutely certain of everything and therefore it was just a data dump? Not a, players may enjoy that for a while, but you want to make sure your sessions have enough challenge for them in terms of the skills checks they have to make, that they feel like they had agency in the scene and that they were actually adjusting or altering the way the game came out. Now, the next one is, did everybody have enough stick time? And this actually is a double entendre. The idea of stick time comes from two places at once. One of which is the idea of stick time in military and aircraft, aviation in particular, is enough time at the controls. Did everyone get to make decisions that affected the whole? If they did, awesome. If they didn't, well, that's a different thing altogether, isn't it? Well, let me go over here. I don't think I turned on my chat, so let me go ahead and make sure that I'm in the chat box. Blah, 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 blah. I am not. Nope, wrong place. There we go. Alrighty, so it looks like my sound's going into chat, so at least we'll find out whether or not that's working or not if somebody jumps in with me. And if not, here we go. Here we go. There's the link for the book. All right. And I do want to mention this real quickly. This channel is not a promotional channel per se, but I do have a book that I just recently released that is now available for sale. And I'll put the link in the chat, so in case you want to check it out. There it is. And double check that's the right link. Yep, that's the right one. And it's on sale right now for $25 instead of the regular $50 price tag. So make sure you get if you get an opportunity, go over there and check it out. Going back to where I was. So stick time means that a player gets enough control time. If they're in front of the group and they're making decisions and the group are following along, that's what stick time is defined at. So did the players that seek that out. Did they get an opportunity? What about the players that don't seek it out? If there's an opportunity for players to have an engagement that's on their grounds, you definitely want to uh, offer that opportunity. Let's see here. Let's see anything else. Nope, that's the only thing I got going on there. All right. So, all right. So, uh, the second entendre, the second portion of stick time, is in conversational games, for example, counseling sessions and stuff. When there's a large group or whatever, they often have a totem, a device that is used to control who's speaking and who's got the floor, so to speak, and they call it a talking stick. So having enough stick time means that they're getting a chance to actually input data. And what that really means is, from a player standpoint, did they get to represent what they had in their goal and in their story to change or alter the way the story goes? And if you want to ensure your players have a good time, make sure you give them enough stick time so that they feel like they're working towards their own accomplishments. Now, the next question is, was anybody at risk? Was there ever anybody whose uh, life was in danger, their safety was in danger, there was some drama that was built in that the other players would have to react to? Was anybody insufficient risk for the session to be exciting? And these exciting times can be exciting in a positive or a negative way. If somebody is worried about whether or not the character will survive or whatever, that's actually a positive thing in a role play game, because you want to feel like you are accomplishing and striving and testing yourself. And so having risk involved really does help that out. The next thing is, were the feature scenes worth the effort? And what I mean by that is, many times you'll have an idea for a big scene and you'll put out the models and the players walk off the map or they change direction or whatever. And so therefore, were the feature scenes worth the effort that you went into? And if not, you may need to modify your style so that that happens, because you want the feature scenes, the exciting parts of the game, to be the high points, and for the players to feel that up and down surge of excitement in the game and release when it calms down. You need to have all of that to make the game run smoothly and make it a good session. So you want it to be both. So if your sessions feel like they're not worth the effort, that's not really a good session. It's adequate. People enjoy themselves, but you need to make sure that it was worth the effort that you put out. So then that makes it a good session as well. Now, the next one is, did something actually happen? I've had game sessions where the players needed time to sit on their laurels and discuss various things in party about the goings on of the campaign. And this is not necessarily, does not make for a good session from an observer standpoint, but it may be absolutely a good session for the players to have cleared the baffles and have cleared out the challenges they've had as a group and actually achieve their goals. And so make sure that there's enough actually happening in the game that the players feel like there's motion, because one of the worst things that can happen to a group is they can founder, they can get stuck in a circle. I've had players sometimes that don't realize that a campaign's focus is localized, and they are concerned because we're not traveling. I have one young lady, bless her heart, that is always on the constant, we're not going anywhere. We're sitting in one place. We're in the same town for 3 weeks. This is not going on. Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. And not realizing that the adventuring and the excitement of the adventures are still going on, but they're happening in a localized basis. And so she doesn't feel that sense of motion that a player sometimes wants to feel. So make sure you're making sure that there's enough going on that happens. And then finally, of all of these, you want to make sure the players will make the effort to return. If you have an ongoing campaign, and at the end of the session you say, okay, I'll see you guys next week, and they all kind of, well, maybe if my schedule works out. And, I mean, granted, there are going to be people who have lifestyle changes that say, well, my work won't let me, blah, blah, blah. My Monday and Tuesday live groups are like that because they're, number one, they are on a weeknight. So, for example, people that are in school and stuff cannot always make it. And second of all, the nature of the environment might not give them an opportunity every week to return. So just realize that this measure that's saying, will they come back, this is a, do they want to come back? Are they hoping to come back? Are they excited about coming back? If you've done your job, so to speak, and you've made that the game a good session, they will want to return, and they will be, making sure they put it on their schedule. And these are kind of ways of benchmarking the effectiveness of your session week over week. Because the reality is that if you're teaching new people to play every day, you'll always have someone to play with. There'll always be someone who will show up to be at the table with you. So just make sure you are having good sessions week over week. Make sure they're fun, lots of decisions, lots of skill checks. There's a stick time for everybody. There are risks involved that make the game challenging and exciting. Make sure there are feature scenes that are worth their effort, both visually and especially if you're playing theater of the mind, you want that visualization to be at its peak. You want to make sure there's enough that actually happens week over week that the players see advancement and motion. And then finally realize that if they're excited about coming back, they are going to be making for a good session because they will be ready to come back the next week as well. So I have sufficiently done what I wanted to do within this episode to get this out. I'm going to be, quote, ending this episode by saying thank you for viewing. I'm going to be continuing on after this if there's any questions or commentaries you'd like to make. But and I will be, of course, going over these as well in extended form with anybody that wants to talk about it. But this has been Game Master Soapbox, what makes for a good RPG session. We're on NycosRPG. If you like what you see, make sure you follow the channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. It's the quickest way and easiest way to help me get the message out to other people. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe on YouTube, but it definitely helps the algorithm, the audience, to know that we're here and that we can expand the number of people that are seeing this stuff. And I will see you the next time. This has been Jonathan Albin. See you next time. All right. Welcome, everybody. This is Jonathan, Game Master Soapbox, Game Master J, and we're talking about what makes for a good session. If you just now are joining the show, we've gone over the points here on the list, but if there's anything in particular you'd like to talk about or ask about, feel free. The chat box is open to anybody who's already got a validated email address with Twitch, and that's mainly for security measures. So make sure you've got an established account with them, and once you've done that, be glad to have any questions you'd like to add to the conversation. If you have not yet, check out our Patreon as well over at patreon.com/Nykos, N-Y-C-O-S, so that you can get a feel for what the games world is like and what it is we are doing here. Also wanted to make a shout out for anybody who wants to be a part of a recorded show. We are going to be doing a role-playing session on Saturdays once we get sufficient players to accomplish that. And when we do that, you'll be able to join with us online and play in a role-play game. Now, this Saturday in particular, if it isn't on your calendars already, this Saturday is a games day in Redlands, California at Board Games Paradise. They're appropriating the little park-like area adjacent to the store, and we're going to be running a live Nykos roleplay roulette there. And so you can get to see what that's like. If you want to play live with us, feel free to hop by on Saturday. Otherwise, if you've got something you'd like to talk about, go ahead and mention here in the channel. I'll be sticking at least till the half hour. Now, we do have a commercial break right at the half hour mark, so just be aware there will be I think it's a 2-minute commercial break or 3-minute commercial break. But I'm going to be staying on for the next half hour or so at least. And if you've got anything you'd like to talk about or ask about, feel free to do so. I'm Jonathan Albin, Game Master J. I've been doing this for 48 years, and I'm willing to answer any questions you would like at all. I will be more than likely changing the video of the channel here, and we'll talk about whatever pops up over there. So let's see. Well, that would talk about how to play in any RPG. We could do that. Or we could talk about the Nykos Arc itself. We could talk about the convenience of Nykos RPG and what kind of new things are happening this iteration that are brought to us by the players of the 8th iteration. And of course, we can talk about world building. So Anything you would like to talk about at all? I'm glad to talk about it. Oh, I see. We've only been at this for about 15 minutes, so I may not make it to the 1 hour mark. If you've got anything that you'd like to talk about as you are a viewer on the channel, feel free to put that into chat. Otherwise, I will probably end it a little prematurely because I got done with the recording relatively quickly this time. And I've got other projects I need to work on. Oh, lots of new stuff to talk about as well anyway. So let me do this. Let me change this up and we can literally talk about anything you want to talk about. And pardon me if you're not talking while I'm typing because I think I can uh, multitask. I found that I don't. So, if you have any questions, of course, feel free to just pop them into the chat box, and I'll respond there. And if you want to join our Discord, the Discord link is down below. And if it's not working again, let me know. I've had a problem with that before. Come on, fingers. Alrighty. So this portion of the show is Jonathan Alvin, the Game Master, answers questions. I've got nearly 50 years behind the shield, so I can pretty much answer any question you would like about any role-playing game whatsoever. So don't feel limited to just Dungeons and Dragons or just NycosRPG. I have run everything from cyberpunk to weird wars, and so I'm willing to answer any questions about just about any subject. If I don't know the answer, I will make something up. Alrighty. Also, I do have some topics I want to go over, so I'm going to line these up and knock them down, so to speak. If you have a topic you would like to discuss that isn't on here, make sure that I find out through uh, the chat box or Discord um, channel. And if you join the Discord, you can actually get your voice on the air as well. So that's always a possibility. Alrighty, so I got everything up and running, including my whispers this time, so I'll be paying attention. Last few times I've had conversations and I didn't even know that whispers was a thing, so I didn't know to respond to my players. And wow, I didn't realize how bright my lights are. Just a second. I didn't mean to blind everybody. Wow, that makes a world of difference. Alrighty. So, as I said, if you got anything you'd like to talk about, feel free to chime in. If not, I'm going to get started. So, I am going to start doing this again. Welcome to Nycos Newsday. I'm your host, Jonathan Albin, and Nycos Newsday is when we go over all things Nycos in a quick little burst. Nycos Newsday, there's several different things that are going on. I've listed a few of them, and I'm also going to be doing recaps for each session, not only for posterity and for record, but for you guys that are not being participants in those shows to know what's going on in the world, at least. And if you are interested in being a part of it, do know that we do have a game session going to be on Saturdays in the future, and I need to get that coordinated. So if you want to uh, log in and become a part of the team, want to become a live performer on the show as well, make sure you contact me through the Discord, and we will see what we can do about getting you on the air. Alrighty, so the first thing is that www.NycosRPG.com has been around for a while now, and that's the site for the organization, if you will. The website covers not only my personal appearances and performances, but also the Nycos Games products, and also access to the play resources so that you can host and run Nycos RPG games in your area as well. Uh, the difference now is that we've also added NycosRPG.info, and that is the uh, World Anvil hosted World Wiki, if you will, for Nycos. And it is in the process of being updated and advanced. And so you'll be able to get to tons of lore about the world of Nycos, the history of the 8 iterations previously, as well as some tidbits and sneak previews of what's coming in the 9th iteration. You'll get some information on the players and the campaigns that are currently in function. And as a participant who is also a Patreon member, you'll have access behind the scenes to some extra lore that's not available to everyone else. And make sure that you look at that from the standpoint of which membership you want to get from the Patreon, because the higher levels give you more of that information, including live broadcasts and stuff that we're going to be doing in the future. It's all developing over time, and it's getting better and better, but just wanted to let you know about that. So let's talk a little bit about the updated Nycos Enhanced Edition. As you see, I put a link in the chat if you're interested in purchasing that. It is just hit the presses, so to speak, and it has a reduced price. It will be selling for $50 at your local retailers once I get it into distribution. I have one retailer already online for it, and that is Board Game Paradise here in Redlands, California, near where I live. But you can also purchase it via lulu.com at the link there, and it is at half price right now. So for $25, you can get the enhanced edition. That's got everything you need to play and run an RPG in Nycos RPG as far as the mechanics. It has 35 playable species and all the information on how the system works and how your games can be improved by changing up which your choice of role-play game systems. So now let's do our session recaps, shall we? So in our Monday session, Strangers in a Strange Land, our adventurers have arrived in the city of Slumber. It is a city built on the rather impressive ruins of an ancient world tree that has over a mile of uh, diameter. Mile of radius of land that is actually built on top of the stump, if you will, and into the stump of a tree that once stood on this location that was absolutely monstrous in size and gigantic, I guess you would say. And the tree has long since been cut down with and used up or whatever, but the city itself, nonetheless, is built into the petrified remains of its roots and stalk, and therefore there are plenty of levels of adventures beneath the roots for the party to possibly never leave. But at this point, they are only recently arrived and noted the activity of some unscrupulous people and started to um, insinuate themselves into the story. Hey, goodness gracious, Vox! I haven't seen you in a long time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. No, no, Ned, Negamangel? Is that what you're calling yourself now? Negimangel? Nejimangel? I'm butchering the name. Nice to have you with us. Welcome, welcome. Tonight we're talking about the recap for our Monday session, which is at Planet Redlands Board Game Paradise. And if you are in the Southern California area, yes, Moving State does that. And I know how that goes. How is it? How is it there? What's the weather like? I'm sure it's not as bad here as people made it out to be. They were saying that the hurricane was going to be devastating, but from where I sit, we had rain for a couple of days, and that was about it. Yeah, you're probably getting the rain from the storm that was here. So, are you stable there in your new abode? And if so, realize you probably don't even know that the Discord got changed. We had a attack, and the original Discord was hacked. So if you click on the link down below and join us, you can become a part of what we're doing, and you can actually get online and chat with me verbally. It'll also give you opportunity to play with us online if you want. For those of you who don't know, Vox has been a player with us for a while, and so he's at distance now. He's moved to another state, and so okay, good, great. So yeah, if you go ahead and join, I'll go ahead and get you approved, and you can come on and chat with us. So just feel free to click into the conversation. Anyway, I'm glad to have gotten back in touch with you. I'm sorry we got disconnected. The Discord, the hacker was pretty crude and didn't like it much, but so anyway, I'm glad you got the invite and glad you're checking in. Glad to have you here. So that group is now under the name Distant Suns, just so you know, and I'll be doing a recap on them here in a minute. We're in the middle of the recap for Strangers in a Strange Land, the Monday group. Yeah, they had to change the handle right away because I went after them. I tried to take them to task, but of course I lost everything that was in there, so it was decades of work. But oh well. I'm glad that I got it fixed, so to speak, so we're able to be here now. So the Monday group is in Slumber, and they got involved with an altercation with what appeared to be some people that were doing some thiefly operations, and it was a fun and riotous combat scene as they all at once decided to go after the person that was the distraction as well as go after the main thief itself. So that was that was exciting. Many of the party members ended up in jail on their own because the authorities just arrest everybody in a melee like that because they can't figure everything out until later. And so that was fun. At this point, they've been released on their own recognizance and have returned back home, and they're talking about what they're going to do about such actions in the future and whether or not they're going to be involved. Uh, the next we're going to talk about is the episodes on Tuesday nights under the very colorful title of Worm Sweat. And that's the group that plays, again, at Redlands Board Games Paradise on Tuesdays. And in this week, they have decided to pursue the idea of hunting a dragon. And considering this is only their third or fourth week as a group, some of them are absolutely terrified, and others of them are ultimately confident that they'll be able to take down at least a baby dragon and all of that. So they've got involved with an altercation tonight. One of the new players has discovered her abilities with magic and tried to use some of them, and eventually got herself into a situation. The party came to rescue her, and as they did, the dragon made another attack on the town. But the party had, unfortunately, been successful in bringing supplies to the town, and therefore made the town a nice, juicy target for another destructive dragon attack. And so, even as they themselves were saving a party member, they left the town under the not so fun condition of being attacked by the dragon once again. So, next session will be a big talk about what they want to do about actually hunting the dragon. So, we're on commercial. Alrighty, we're back from the commercial break, or at least in theory should be. Thank you for your patience in putting up with those. It's how we pay for this channel and how eventually I can actually get enough money so this will be more than just a once a day show. So we'll see how that goes. At any rate, yeah, getting a dragon involved is not ever a really good thing. And so, yeah, the party was rather surprised by it all. But a player found out that she had the ability to fly by magic, and another one found out that she could dimensionally travel, and that also surprised them as well. So the challenges of a new magic system and new players to the game led to some really exciting events for the game tonight. So let's go ahead and recap what's going to be happening later, which is the Distant Suns campaign. Now, this is the first of the Distant Suns storylines in the NycosRPG, which means it is a modern era, actually a future era space opera game set in the Nykos universe. And so the party is consisting of a Destria robot and a Destria technomaton, I should say, pure language, a mortal captain, and a failing cat person pilot. And the three of them they just took out their vessel on the maiden voyage, and they did name the vessel. What did they name it? Let me go look. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, and I'm failing. So let's go see. Did they put the notes in yet? They have not. Okie dokie. So we're not playing for this week. But so last week's game. Alrighty. So anyway, in the Distant Suns campaign, they have launched their vessel. Trying to remember what they named it. It was a clever name. They came up with it on the fly. I'll think of it in a second. Um, and they traveled to Angel Eye, a nearby starport, and are endeavoring to unload some highly technical, highly dangerous data that they stole off of a NavCom that they had recovered from a wrecked vessel. They have well hidden the NavCom unit so that it won't actually be at any danger of being stolen or whatever. But they do have the rather touchy data from it to be resold, and they even have a fence, so to speak, who's going to move it for them. So that's what they are endeavoring to do this week. Not to mention the Saturday event at Board Game Paradise. The store is adjacent to a little park-like area in downtown Redlands on State Street. And if you want to participate, we will be playing role-play roulette, which means we will use a random generator to determine which style of play, which format we're going to play, and then the players are going to play with exactly what they come with and not have to worry about die rolling a character and all of that kind of thing. And it's mainly to introduce people to the concepts of role play. So if you want to come and be a part of that and enjoy the festivities or whatever, that's Saturday. They're going to start at, I believe, around 10 in the morning and run until about 2. So if it's too hot or whatever, I will retire from the courtyard to the game store because I'm shameless that way. But otherwise, we will be in the courtyard playing. So feel free to hop in if you want to for that event. And then now for the good stuff. If you are interested in Nycos RPG, there are a bunch of different ways you can get involved in the process. The first of which is of course to follow this channel here on Twitch, because every night at 11 o'clock I do a Game Master Soapbox episode, or I do an Ask Me Anything like this, or other kind of shows that are focused on roleplay games. And of course, I shamelessly plug the Nycos RPG because it is, I believe, the next evolution in tabletop roleplay games, especially theater of the mind. Uh, you can also become a member, a participant, by subscribing to the channel. That's, of course, greatly appreciated. But subscribing here in Twitch does have a cost involved, so be aware of that. But if you go over to NycosRPG on YouTube, the at NycosRPG channel, you can subscribe there for nothing and still get the subscription benefits and be a part of a larger community as well of people interested in roleplay. And so I'd love to have you over there as well. Next tier to that would be to take a look at the Patreon account, and patreon.com/Nykos is where this entire project has its primary legs, and we'd love to have you join in our Patreon support group. And in doing so, you get additional benefits, like we have a Sunday Nycos RPG online game that's for specifically Patreon sponsors and charter members only. And that is at 1 o'clock p.m. and we play until about 5. So that's another thing you want to consider. And there are other benefits as well. You get you get to choose which Vale you're from, and you can become a consultant to the show if you back us to a certain level or whatever. So there's a lot of information at Nycos at patreon.com/Nycos. Another way to become a part is to actually purchase the books. You can purchase them at the Board Game Paradise store. There are copies there that are available. If you're unable to get to the retail store, you can order them online through NycosRPG.com. And of course, the newly minted uh, enhanced edition available over at lulu.com and the link up above. So those are the primary ways of getting to the Nycos property, becoming part of the community, and joining with us. Of course, if you just hop on below and join the Discord, once you have your Discord account connected to us, I will link it so that you can access the channel notes and all of that to be involved with the show that way. So I am going to go ahead and call it because we are coming up on the 1 hour mark, and I hate to make you sit through another set of commercials. So this has been Nycos RPG's Game Master Answers Questions, Nycos Newsday episode as well, and I will see you again next time. This is Jonathan Albin signing off. Thanks a lot, Non-Germangel, Negamangel. I'm not saying it right. Negamangel, I think. Negamangel. Kind of sounds macho. Anyway, I don't know. But glad to have you with us, and we will see you again next